Doris Day. The radiant icon of Hollywood was always known for her bright smile and optimistic spirit. But behind that glamorous facade lay a deep mystery, a life filled with untold tragedies. Now, the veil has been lifted, and the stark truth about what she endured will surely shock you. This isn't a pretty story, but it is the truth. Early life and signs of trouble. Doris Day. Doris Marianne Kappelhoff, in 1922 in Cincinnati, Ohio, faced harsh challenges early in her life. Her parents separated when she was very young, leaving a significant void in her tender soul. Her mother, Alma Kappelhoff, was a major influence in Doris's life, but inadvertently placed a burden of early expectations and responsibilities on her shoulders. Dreaming of becoming a professional dancer, Doris trained relentlessly. However, a horrific car accident at age 12 permanently ended that dream, forcing her to find another path. It was during this painful recovery period that Doris discovered her natural talent for singing. The path to music wasn't easy. Doris began singing on local radio stations, gradually securing performance contracts with big bands. Her warm, soulful voice and bright demeanor quickly made her a phenomenon. Yet, behind the spotlight and applause, Doris's personal life was shrouded in darkness. Her first failed marriage was the initial tragedy, hinting at a turbulent future. At 17, Doris married Al Jordan, a trombonist. This marriage quickly turned into a nightmare. Jordan was known for his violent and baseless jealousy. Doris recounted beating, strict control, and blatant betrayal. This toxic relationship lasted only a few years, leaving Doris with a deep emotional scar and a shattered sense of trust. Although she had one son, Terry, the divorce left her utterly exhausted. Not long after Doris entered her second marriage with George Weidler, a guitarist and brother of famous actress Virginia Weidler. It seemed this would be a peaceful haven, but Weidler grew jealous of Doris's flourishing career. He felt overshadowed by his wife's success, leading to continuous conflicts. This marriage also quickly fell apart, plunging Doris into despair and skepticism about love. The bitter experiences from her first two marriages shaped a part of Doris Day. They made her more cautious, somewhat more reserved in romantic relationships, and inadvertently created opportunities for opportunists to exploit her trust later on. However, despite her personal pain, Doris's career soared. She was invited to act in films and quickly became a box office star. Audiences adored her for her wholesome, optimistic girl-next-door image, always radiating positive energy. The irony was that this radiant public image obscured the hidden pains Doris was enduring. The world admired sunny girl Doris Day, unaware that the woman was bravely battling deep emotional wounds. Her dazzling fame and success brought Doris Day to the pinnacle of celebrity, but it also inadvertently made her the target of a much larger tragedy, a mystery that would only be uncovered later, when it was too late to salvage anything. The signs of difficulty from her childhood and early marriages were just the beginning of a chain of worse events when the person she trusted most turned out to be the one who cruelly ruined her life. That secret lay with her third husband, Martin Melcher. The Mystery Unraveled. If Doris Day's early years were fraught with personal tragedies, then her third marriage to Martin Melcher marked the beginning of her greatest financial and emotional ordeal, pulling back the curtain on the later years of her life. Martin Melcher was not only her husband, but also her manager, and this is where everything took an unbelievably terrible turn. Melcher seized absolute control over every aspect of Doris's life, from her career to her finances. He skillfully manipulated her, building a wall of lies and deception around her. Melcher was an opportunist, seeing Doris Day not just as a wife but as a gold mine to exploit. He took advantage of her absolute trust, signing numerous film and music contracts whose detailed contents Doris was completely unaware of. All of her enormous income flowed into accounts controlled by Melcher. Not content with just managing, Melcher also made a series of incredibly poor and blatantly fraudulent investments. He invested in phantom projects, non-existent companies, or highly risky business ventures without Doris's consent or knowledge. More alarmingly, he even colluded with Doris's personal lawyer, Jerome Rosenthal, to embezzle and defraud her assets. They bought and sold properties without informing Doris, set up shell companies to conceal money flows, and created enormous debts in her name. Melcher was highly successful at creating a perfect facade to hide the truth. To the outside world, he was the devoted husband, the talented manager, the one who elevated Doris's career to new heights. He always appeared by her side with a confident, trustworthy demeanor. Doris, naturally trusting and not overly concerned with complex financial matters, was completely outwitted by Melcher. She believed she was well cared for, that her money was being invested profitably, and that her future was secured. The truth was far more brutal. Melcher was slowly draining her assets, turning her into a victim of fraud right in her own home. The massive loss hit after Melcher's death in 1968. His sudden passing unveiled the shocking secret. Doris Day discovered she was completely bankrupt, and millions of dollars in debt, equivalent to hundreds of millions today. All of her assets, from music royalties and film salaries to real estate, had been embezzled or encumbered by debt. She was left with nothing, even burdened by debts she didn't incur. This was an unimaginable shock for Doris. After more than 2 decades of tireless work dedicating herself to her art, she stood on the brink of losing everything. The contracts Melcher had signed in her name turned out to be financial traps, binding her to heavy legal obligations. She discovered she had lost not only her money but also control over her career and image. Desperate but not giving up, Doris Day embarked on a prolonged legal battle to seek justice. She sued Jerome Rosenthal, the lawyer who had colluded with Melcher to defraud her. The lawsuit lasted for years, attracting public and media attention. Doris faced attacks, skepticism, and even contempt from the opposing side. She had to appear in court, provide testimony, and confront the harsh truths about the betrayal by the man she had trusted absolutely. Finally, in 1974, Doris Day won the lawsuit, and the court ordered Rosenthal to pay her a massive sum estimated at $22 million. However, the process of recovering this money was also arduous, and it took many more years for her to actually receive only a fraction of it. The psychological consequences of this tragedy were profound. Doris Day, the woman always known for her optimistic smile, was deeply wounded. Her trust in people, especially in those closest to her, was completely shattered. She experienced severe depression, insomnia, and persistent anxiety. She gradually withdrew from the spotlight and public life. Her cheerful girl next door image faded, replaced by a woman burdened with pain and isolation. This personal pain was not widely shared with the public. People still remembered Doris Day for her romantic comedies and sweet hit songs. They didn't know about the silent battle she waged to reclaim her life. The mystery had been unraveled, but it was far from pretty. It's a heartbreaking story of betrayal, greed, and the heavy burden a woman had to bear when her trust was misplaced. Yet, from the ashes of this tragedy, a more resilient, stronger Doris Day emerged, ready to seek a new purpose in life. Life Afterward and her legacy. After enduring horrifying financial and psychological shocks, Doris Day seemed to vanish from the Hollywood spotlight. The public still remembered her as an icon of optimism, but few knew the silent struggle she went through to rebuild her life. It was during this difficult period that Doris found a new purpose, a path that led her to recovery and deeper meaning, focusing on animal welfare. A new purpose: animal welfare. The pain of loss, betrayal, and feeling exploited led Doris Day to seek solace in innocent creatures. She dedicated her heart, and what little money she had left to establish the Doris Day Animal League and the Doris Day Animal Foundation. This was not merely a temporary hobby, but a true calling. She spent hours each day caring for abandoned animals, lobbying for animal protection laws, and raising awareness about animal cruelty. Devoting her time and energy to beings who couldn't protect themselves brought Doris immense comfort and a clear purpose in life. She found peace, knowing she was doing something meaningful, something that money or fame couldn't buy. Doris Day's later life was no longer associated with Hollywood glamour. She lived a simpler life, closer to nature and her animal friends. Although she still received invitations to return to the screen or stage, she declined them to focus entirely on her charitable work. This further proved that for Doris, the true value of life lay not in fame or material possessions, but in her ability to make a positive difference in the world around her. An enduring legacy of resilience. The true legacy of Doris Day, therefore, is not just that of a legendary entertainment star with timeless hits like Que Sera Sera or classic romantic comedies. Her legacy is also the story of a resilient woman who overcame the most brutal adversities to find light and meaning in her life. She is a symbol of resilience, of strength, hidden behind a fragile exterior. Doris Day's image underwent an incredible transformation. From the perfect girl next door on screen, she became a silent warrior for animal rights, a woman who proved that life can still be beautiful even after experiencing the worst. Her tireless dedication to animals left a profound mark on animal lovers and inspired many other charitable organizations. Her passing and reflections on her life. Doris Day passed away on May 13, 2019 at the age of 97. Her death closed a turbulent life story, but also opened a door for us to have a more comprehensive and profound view of her true self. It was not just the end of a cinematic legend, but also the end of a challenging journey from the peak of fame to the abyss of betrayal, and finally, the discovery of meaning in unconditional love for animals. Her death sparked a wave of worldwide tributes, not only for her artistic contributions, but also for her enduring spirit and compassionate heart. People began to view Doris Day not just as an actress and singer, but also as a great social activist, someone who transformed personal pain into motivation to do good for the world. Her story reminds us that even those who seem to have the most perfect lives can harbor deep sorrows, and that true resilience lies in the ability to confront and overcome those pains. The Unvarnished Truth. The mystery of Doris Day's life is not a beautiful fairy tale, but a painful testament to the abuse of trust and cruel concealment. Her story doesn't just stop at her resounding successes in film and music, but also reveals a dark side of betrayal, loss, and pain hidden beneath her bright smile. From a turbulent childhood to broken marriages, and culminating in the financial shock caused by her third husband, Doris Day's life was a series of harsh challenges she had to face. Doris Day's story offers a profound lesson about looking beyond appearances. We often only see what is presented to the public, a radiant, perfect star. But behind that glamour, Doris Day was a flesh-and-blood human being with wounds, fears, and silent battles. The truth can sometimes be harsh, and in Doris's case, it was the truth about a woman stripped of her wealth and trust, forced to rebuild her life from scratch. However, from the ashes of that tragedy, a strong and resilient Doris Day emerged. She didn't let her wounds define her. Instead, she turned her pain into motivation to pursue a higher purpose, protecting animal welfare. Her tireless dedication to animal charities not only brought her comfort, but also left a grand legacy of compassion and perseverance. The conclusion to Doris Day's story is not a lament, but a tribute to her indomitable spirit. It's a reminder of the importance of unveiling secrets, not to pry into private lives, but to gain a comprehensive and authentic view of an icon's life. Doris Day is living proof that even in the worst circumstances, people can find the strength to overcome, find meaning in life, and leave a meaningful legacy far beyond an entertainment career. Her story will forever be a lesson in trust, resilience, and the power of love. What do you think about Doris Day's tumultuous life story? Was there anything in her life that surprised you the most? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to follow our channel so you don't miss out on other fascinating stories.